We acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land.
As one of the oldest living cultures on Earth, we celebrate their age-old connections to country, along with the knowledge, determination, patience and generosity of all First Nations people, past and present.
This is Aboriginal land.
Hi, I'm Lucille McCart.
And I'm Chantelle Otten, and we're from Bumble, and this is Give Me a Buzz.
From first dates to heartbreak, we can all relate to the ups and downs of modern dating and relationships.
We're here to give you the inspiration, education, and motivation to navigate any dating, fairy tale, or dilemma that comes your way. Okay, welcome to the podcast. We have one of the best people in the world, in my personal opinion.
Mine too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have performer, comedian, author, Lucinda Price, aka Froomes.
Hello,
Newsletter
guys.
and published book author.
Important.
OG newsletter subscriber here. Love the newsletter.
Babe, that's a big deal. I started it like 5 years ago. Do you know that?
Yeah, I do.
We've been we're long-time followers, babe. We go back
I mostly
a long
enjoy
way.
the dad content.
Yes.
That's
I know.
what I'm there for.
I need to bring him back. We got asked to go on like a reality show.
Really?
Earlier this year.
Oh, I'd watch.
Yeah, we did the interview, and at the end of it, I was like, I can't do this. Like, there's no way.
Oh my gosh.
He's
I
very
actually got
funny.
the great honour of meeting the great
Oh,
man a
yeah.
few weeks ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
At
I feel like
the
I
book
know him.
launch, for friends and family book launch. We had a great night. Okay, so we always ask every guest a few questions. Number one, what is your opening move?
Can I do IRL and then online?
Do whatever you
We
want.
do whatever on. Okay, I'll give you my IRL one because I thought
Please.
about this before I came. You need to go to a pub and play pool.
Oh,
Great. That's where all the men are.
It's
ones?
just.
Men.
It's just,
hang on.
actually true.
If you're going, okay, so if you're going for men, I think there's also there's hot everyone at pubs, so it depends on what you're looking for. But are we talking Sydney or Melbourne as well? Because you spend your time half at the moment.
That's true.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in Melbourne. I only do it in
You're
Sydney.
avoiding the Melbourne pubs.
You'll know them.
Yeah.
So I go to a local pub and I go and play pool with my girlfriends, and it's just a great way to start talking to people, even if it's not a romantic thing. I meet men, I meet women, I meet everyone.
Bit of an icebreaker.
Exactly.
Gets your confidence up to talk to people.
Totally,
Yeah.
because I'll see someone across the room and they're watching, and I say, "Oi, come over here." And
Oi,
end up
you.
having-
Or you.
yeah,
Come here.
over here.
and like it really, I've got a friend who we met someone playing pool, and then they went overseas and like stayed with this other person that we met. Like
Oh,
it's just
wow.
you bear the best. Really good connections, and it's also a really great way to clock if someone's like rude, because my friend and I can't play pool to save our lives, and it's frustrating. We'll take up the table
Yeah.
for a fucking hour trying to finish.
Yeah, so the impatient ones weed themselves
Impatience
out.
with him out. People are trying to give me tips on how to play pool. Like, I'm bad. I don't want to get better.
Happy being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get my name out of your mouth. Yeah. So I think I just love anything that encourages you to get up from just sitting down, because
Yeah.
I think there's a culture in both Melbourne and Sydney where we just go to the pub, particularly
And
Sydney,
sit.
and sit with our friends. So it just gives you a way to get up, and it doesn't have to be seedy. It doesn't have to be.
It's actually the only thing in a pub that encourages interaction with people that you don't know, because otherwise if you go from your table to the bar, you just don't talk to anyone aside from the girls in the bathroom.
Exactly.
It's acceptable to talk to strangers at the pool table.
Besties are made in the bathroom for sure.
Well, that was your IRL opening move.
My online opening move is just, I guess it's like a what I wouldn't do, and I would never like neg someone. Like what I would go for is I love when people post like one or two funny images on their online dating
Yeah.
profile, because then it's like an in that's
Totally.
funny. Like I've seen people have the in-between, the in-betweeners? Is that the one, the UK one?
Yes.
Yeah, the in-betweeners.
With the high school.
Yeah, like Will
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good way of knowing if you've got a similar sense of humour, and it just gives you a way in that isn't complimenting necessarily their appearance or their prompts, because I think it's so easy to do a prompt that isn't even indicative of your personality necessarily.
I'm a big fan of someone that has on their Bumble profile like them in a funny Halloween costume.
True.
Because it's such a
That's a really good
this
one.
is my person. This is the kind of person that I am. Because what we always say is
Is
like,
that a US thing though?
well, no, I actually think I see it more. Funny Halloween costumes are more of an Australian thing.
Okay.
But people tend to treat their dating app profile like it's their Instagram, and it's like the point isn't to be hot in every photo, it's to like show off your personality. So I like that as well.
What's the worst dating advice you've ever received?
Worst dating advice I ever received was when I was 25 and I was at an event and I ran into this guy that I know who's a bit older than me, maybe 10 years older. And he's like to me, are you dating anyone at the moment? And I absolutely wasn't, because from the ages of like 23 to 25, I didn't even talk to anyone, you know, for various reasons that I go into in my book. But he's like, are you dating anyone? I said, no. He said, oh, looks like you have to wait till everyone gets divorced then. I think he thought I was older than I was, but I remember being at this event and being like, I'm gagged. Like, now I'm freaking
You're
out.
so right, actually. I will wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait.
Yeah, okay.
I have to wait till all the good ones are snatched. You're going to wait till you
I'll
till they
just
get
sit the
divorced.
next
Just going to
10
go
years
through a
out.
few years. Just going to journal for a couple of years.
I'll just spend this time working on myself.
I'm not going to learn much this time, but I'll fucking wait it out, of course.
So the book, we love it. All I ever wanted was to be hot. Great book name, relate. What does hot mean to you?
Oh, I chose the title because it's changed throughout my life of what I thought hot was. So when I was younger and probably coming up with my formative ideas of what it meant to have relationships as an adult, I probably thought that in order to get a relationship, a woman particularly has to look a certain way. And that was, I've said it before, that was like what a 13-year-old boy would think a hot woman is. I kind of internalized
This was like the
that.
Playboy era.
Exactly.
Holly Madison.
Loved that show.
Simple Life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loved
Iconic.
all of those shows, but that aesthetic was probably quite toxic.
Well, yeah, I think it was just seen as there was one kind of
It was
like,
the sameness of it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess for me, the hottest thing that someone can be is, and this is so much easier said than done, and it took me a long time, hence writing a freaking book about it, but is to be like comfortable enough in their skin that they're not actively trying to change themselves and to kind of like strive for this better version of themselves that is taking away from their happiness. So I'm all for people like going to the gym and like staying healthy, eating what makes them feel good. But if I get the inkling that you're doing it for this other reason that is like against your nature, that isn't super hot to me. Again, that's just my opinion, and I think everyone's entitled to do what they want. But what I'm attracted to are people who do things because they feel good. I think because I've come a long way in not doing that anymore, I find it not triggering is the right word, but I'm so not in that mind frame that when people are, I find it hard to connect with them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Chantelle and I spoke about this in our episode with Dolly, that one of the things that I think really like hinders young women and young men is this idea that like life starts when I get X. Like a lot of the time it's a beauty standard. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's a job. It's the right house. Like life starts when I get to that goal. There's so much time that imagine how much time we've all collectively wasted being like, I'll start dating when I feel hot.
Yeah.
And it's like, just do it now. Do what you want to do now. And like, you aren't guaranteed tomorrow.
Something that was really great that came out of my eating disorder recovery was that I realised that for my whole upbringing, I always thought when I was a certain weight, when I was as skinny as I could be, I would get all of these amazing things. And in some ways I did, to be honest. I saw my career kind of like really ramp up when I was at my lowest weight. I think part of that was just like a confluence of two things happening at once. But I definitely put the two together. But what I realised, especially with dating, is that I got rejected or accepted the exact same amount of time regardless of what weight I've been at. And I think that definitely, we're to look at how society works. I think that depends on what range you're in. Like it's easy for me to say that because I was a straight size through every experience of that. But what was really important for me as a person and what I wanted to try and explain in my book was that the idea of you thinking, oh, I need to lose 5 kilograms and then I'm going to get this person who I think is better than me. I think when you're thinking like that, you're totally holding yourself back because A, like people don't really think about you that much, and B, it's all in your head. And really, when you accept yourself more, that is more attractive, I guess.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And I think that is coming down to energy. We talk about energy a lot. And, you know, when you have people that are giving you really positive, beautiful energy, kind energy, caring energy, you look at them and you go, that's really hot. When that energy changes, maybe something's going on, maybe they're not in a good state, and the energy that you're getting is it's off, or it might be a little bit, I don't know, if you're getting passive aggressive or you're getting just like a bit of a dark energy, the way you view that person, you're like, oh, that's not hot.
All you need to point to know that hot or attraction isn't a physical or an aesthetic thing is all the times in your life, exactly what Chantelle is saying, where you meet someone and you either don't think they're hot or you do think they're hot, and then you get to know them and that completely changes.
Yeah.
But I really relate to a lot of the things in the book and a lot of things you were just saying as someone whose weight has also fluctuated. I definitely feel like when I was at my thinnest, I probably got hit on more because I was like the safe person for a guy to hit on, because it's like, okay, no one's going to like judge me. But in terms of like actual like hookup, the hottest people I've hooked up with have been when I am not my thinnest, sometimes when I'm like my curviest, and I've had more fun in those hookups. I have noticed the biggest difference since moving to New York. Yeah. I talk about this with Chantelle all the time.
It's absolutely crazy to witness it like IRL. Like,
What do you mean?
Lucille's my best friend. I've slept in the same bed with her in New York for weeks at a time. We go out in the street and people, you have to explain this, but people walk past her and they're like, oh my God. And it is just about the culture there really appreciates a woman with like a beautiful curvy body. And it's just so like, I'm like, what is like, they couldn't give a fuck about me. This like beanpole,
Chantelle's
like
wearing like a see-through lace dress, and she's like, "I'm a sexologist," and people are like, "What's that?"
They're like, we don't care. And then they're like looking at Lucille. They're like, oh, how like, and it's just it's such a cultural thing here as well.
But
and
you know what I think it is? I don't think that it's the people's attraction is different. I think it's how confident they feel in expressing that, because I've been in so many relationships, like hookups with Australian guys in Australia, where they'll be like, oh, I really love your curves, as though it's like a secret admission.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
like you have a beautiful body.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
But it's like a confession of like, oh, like everyone wants me to be with like a bikini model down at Bondi, but like I actually like big boobs. I'm like, yeah, I know, you idiot.
Yeah.
I've got a little secret for you.
Like everyone does. Like,
I love your
everyone
curves.
likes boobs. Like,
Yeah,
if you have boobs, old people, children, your peers, friends, teachers, people in the shop, like everyone will look at your boobs.
Yeah.
I think I definitely have experienced the thing of going to New York. There's something about New York, and
You've
also
had this too in New York?
Yeah. Oh,
You were there 3 or 4 months ago.
yeah. And it's more, it's not so much me getting attention over there. It's more the way that I feel, and the way that I feel better to express myself and like wear tiny shorts. I would never do that in Australia for multiple reasons, mostly because I think when you kind of dress out of the ordinary, people are like, oh, like, what are you doing? Why are you dressed like that? Whereas when you're in New York, my favorite thing about going there is like putting on a fun outfit and like testing your outfits and being like, the more I push this, the more I actually fit in.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a beautiful.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I'm not at all thinking about my body when I'm in New York.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You also feel really great in New York as well. Yeah. And her energy just like shines. Like she's just like, I'm obsessed. I have a big girl crush. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's talk about social media and TikTok. You are a social media queenie. Love looking at you on the gram. But I wanted to know, like, I think social media and like TikTok trends do influence the way people think about what is hot and what isn't. For example, like right now, brat, like that's brat, like that's hot, but also the clean girl aesthetic was also hot for a while. How do we kind of navigate this discourse, especially for people?
I can't do either. Well,
I'm brat.
like
To a T.
I'm just pure brat.
Yeah, 'cause
like I am the girl backstage. I'm in the fucking green room. We know it. Everyone knows I'm a party girl.
I've got a
Truly,
bit of
you
the brat
invented it.
tendencies.
You're a brat. But
But I'm
is
not
hard.
clean girl either.
I'm definitely not a clean girl.
You're definitely not a clean girl. When was the last time you washed your hair?
Last week. It's been a full week. It's been 7 days.
I went into Chantelle's hotel last night and the bath was still full. She wasn't in the hotel room. I went in there to pick something up and the bath was still full of water and I was like,
This is crazy.
Later. Not
I
surprised.
just got out and I just went for a walk. I didn't even think
2 days
about it. I
ago.
was like, ugh. Anyway, how do we navigate these different versions of hot? Like, what do you think the discourse is around that? Especially for, it's still kind of the same pattern of young people growing up and looking to social media for what is cool, what is hot. And we still, even though we don't have the magazines that are telling us how to lose 5 kilos in 1 hour,
Tea.
Yeah.
just skinny me tea. We don't have skinny me tea anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
But we don't have that
which
stuff.
by the way is just a
Diuretic.
hectic laxative.
Obsessed.
I feel that in my stomach. I feel it. But I don't know. 16-year-olds. I didn't look like the 16-year-olds that are online these days.
God.
I was feral. I still am feral, but I was feral compared to these.
I feel like we had a similar
just-
aesthetic as teenagers.
We both grew up in the same area and we've been through very similar things, both eating disorder girlies, both hair extensions. I'm back on the hair extensions, but
I'm looking at them being like, oh, I think I want to do that. Who do you go to?
next time we come in, we look exactly the same. I do think that even though the magazine kind of styles have changed and we're more inclusive and there's more diversity, there's still a lot of discourse around what's cool and what's not. And I think it's actually really hard, especially as young people have phones quite early as well. I had to buy a secret phone when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah, because I was texting so many boys.
Nancy, I'm sure you were.
It was taken off me because I was sneaking out at 3 a.m.
Not even slightly surprised.
No.
Well, I feel like even as an adult, I look at TikTok trends and I go, oh my God. I wanted to get these little ballet flats recently, but I'm like, I've missed the boat. Oh my God, teenagers going to look at me and think I'm a freak and so embarrassing. So I think it goes also the other way of teenagers are so scary.
One of the things that the hill I will die on is that there is nothing more terrifying in the world than a teenage girl.
An absolute shiver.
So there's no point trying to impress them is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Embrace us. Let us into the group.
Please.
We're in our 30s.
I know it's such
I know you're wearing low-rise cargo pants and I can't, but please.
It's such a humbling experience when you go from being the youngest and being like, oh my God, anyone below me is a fetus. They're so young and so small. And then I'm like, oh my God, the fetuses are I'm freaking out.
They're looking at me. Yeah, they're scary.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But no, I think we're becoming more aware of the fact that mostly these trends are pushed forward by brands wanting to make money. I don't think that makes it any easier. I think it's so easy to intellectualize something and understand it, but still feel really affected by it.
Well, I think the difference is that we were, I think, very badly affected by what we were seeing in magazines, but that was a hard copy thing that your mum could take out of the house or as much as a bad influence I think it had, it was the exposure was limited, and easier to limit. Whereas we spend 8 hours a day on our phones,
I was thinking about this the other day. Our generation, I was given unfettered access to the internet to buy whatever I wanted, get magazines, So I think I internalized it in the same way that girls do now. For me, I don't think there was much of a difference. All my friends had iPhones in high school and stuff like that. But I think what really kind of changed things maybe was the fact we all had MySpace, for instance. So then you started comparing yourself to girls from other schools, or we all need to get this photo, or you're taking a photo in your Bonds high tops and putting a photo on Facebook and stuff like that.
See, I think I was in year 12 when MySpace came. Yeah. So I just kind of missed being at high school when people were on social media.
Yeah. So I think, there's a few things going on. I'd say...
Keep going.
Oopsie. I say in the book that, I don't think our generation necessarily had it any easier than the current generation. I think it just shifts every time and it will continue to shift. And I think it's unfortunately, a personal discovery situation for moving past it.
Yeah. You spend a lot of time trying to look older and then the switch flips and you're trying to look younger.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we talk about in terms of baby Botox, lip fillers. Look, my whole face is fake. So, I mean, I can't really talk. I've had all the fillers. It's fine. I always think it's important when people ask me, if they say like, you're beautiful, you're this, you're like, yeah, I am. But I've had work done. Like, I've had quite a bit of work done. And that's happy for me. I like that. But I don't believe in like not admitting that. I think that I believe in like saying what I've had done, because I don't want anyone to look at me and go, why don't I look like that? It's because this has taken years to perfect this.
This has been an investment.
This is a lot of money. It's a very expensive face. You know, we do see a lot of young people going, okay, I want A, B, and C in terms of cosmetics. What are your thoughts around that in terms of like looking a certain age, or like younger girls looking a lot older? Like, I wouldn't even know who's in their 20s or who's in their teens these days.
I did not admit to anyone my plastic surgery until I wrote this book. Yeah. I would with friends, but like if I was dating someone, it would take me ages to muster up the courage to tell them, because I was still so self-conscious. Like, I didn't do any of the work through how to accept my prior self. I just got the surgeries very young, and I kind of divorced myself from that other girl, which I think affects the way your
psyche a little bit.
Yeah, your psyche for sure, because you're feeling like you've got this thing to hide and that you don't actually deserve to be wanted because you don't actually look the way that you present.
How old were you when you
had a rhinoplasty when I was 17.
Yeah.
And then a breast augmentation when I was 19.
Yeah.
And both of them, I think I'm not sure if I agree with you with having to tell people that you've had it done, only because I think it's still so... people still have such a preconceived idea about...
That's for me. For me. That's what I like to do. I don't think anyone has to do what I do.
There's a lot of really interesting conversations happening about the age. I saw Bella Hadid made a comment saying she got her nose job when she was 15 or something, and she wishes that
14.
she never did it.
Yeah, I think she was 14.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough of a chance to really decide if you like your own face or not.
And I think in Bella Hadid's case, I've looked into this. She was saying because for her nose was
cultural.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have that. I can see how as you get older, that's something that you're more interested in. But when you are a teenager, you just think, oh, no, I want this very specific shape. And I think as well with something like a rhinoplasty, there's styles that change throughout history. Like when I had mine done, it was 2012. And the shape that I have was kind of like the one shape, whereas now we see it there's kind of like a straighter with a little still upturn is the kind of trend.
I don't think that you necessarily would have made a different decision if you'd waited until you were in your 20s, but I think you would have the confidence that it's what you really think is going to help you feel better about yourself. I just think when you're really young, you don't know who you are yet.
For me, I have different feelings about the breast augmentation versus the rhinoplasty. When I had the rhinoplasty, when I woke up, it was the happiest moment of my life, because for me it was dysphoric that I had this nose that I didn't think was my actual nose.
Yeah.
So that almost felt very affirming for me as a person. But then something like breast implants, that's something that I really regret and wish that I had more understanding of what a surgery like that means, because it is sexual. I did think of my breast as something sexual. I didn't think about breastfeeding or any of the reasons why breasts can be important for people. And now, I got a quote recently, it's going to cost me $20,000 to get them out.
Yeah, wow. I think cosmetic surgery is such an individualized experience, and I think this will be such an open conversation that you just don't have an answer to, right? Yeah. It's just going to flow.
And it's easy for me to say, oh, I regret it, because there were, it's been 10 years of me having a breast augmentation. There's been times in that where I have felt really confident, and unfortunately it was something that made me stop worrying about the problem for a while. But I guess there is a part of me that wishes that I could have broadened what I thought was acceptable, because for me the breast implants were just a thing of thinking I need this because they're not perfect.
That was just also body image struggles back then are they different now?
I don't think so. I think now, for better or worse, plastic surgery is so much more normalised, which I think is good, because you've got people who are happy to say that they've had surgery because it is a little bit more accepted now. But I think, when I had my breast implants, the fashion was you don't want an arse and you want massive boobs, whereas now we've seen the complete inverse in terms of like what's deemed the absolute top of what's attractive. And I think, oh my God, if I was, 19 now, I'd probably have gotten a BBL, which is the most like, can you imagine me with a BBL? Holy fuck.
They're really dangerous as well.
And they're so
They're the
dangerous.
most dangerous surgery. Yeah, they are.
Not me, like, I'd be sitting on
On a,
like I
on
would
a
have
little
done
donut
it.
cushion.
Yeah.
She's on the plane on the way home from Turkey.
Oh my God.
Stop. I'm standing up the whole flight.
Have you seen those TikToks where they're like, all the girls are like holding onto the back of the airplane?
Chair, yes. Oh my God. I'm dead.
I'm interested in, like, we touched a little bit when we were talking about like New York versus Australia on cultural impact of attraction and hotness and body image and all of these things. How do you think, I'm from Sydney, so I think I might have like a different perception of this than you who are both from Melbourne. But how do you think that like beach culture, like surf culture, of like, for me, until probably maybe not even recently, like maybe I'm still would absolutely have a panic attack at the idea of having to go on a beach date and like be in a bikini. Like, was that the same in Melbourne? Like, did you think that sort of idea of like, oh, let's just go for a swim or like go to the beach, like did that sort of instill a fear and panic in you, or is this a Sydney thing, or is this a Lucille McCart thing?
Yeah, I think it would have made me nervous because back then when I was a teenager, so I had an eating disorder in my early 20s, and it took, I think it was like raging for 2 years, from like probably 20 to 22, and then it probably took about 7 years to ease into where I am now, which is I don't think about food anymore. Like, but you always have to be aware of where your body is going and how you're affected by like stress, for example, or travel or your time schedules. I think back in the day, a beach day would have absolutely affected me, even prior to having an eating disorder.
Yeah, I remember like in high school, it freaked me out. But then I remember like when I was like uni age, maybe like 19 or 20, I heard like, and I think like the men in our lives make so many passing comments that that aren't directed at you, but that they don't realize that you like internalize. Because I remember like sitting with a group of my friends, guy friends, and they were like joking around and they were like, oh yeah, like the best first date is at the beach so you can like see what a girl's bikini body is like. Wow. And I was like, and you know what? I reckon the guy that said that didn't even mean it.
Yeah.
He wasn't going on many dates at the time, I can tell you that. Like, he was not pulling bikini models. But I reckon it's the type of dumb thing that guys say when they're 19, 20 years old that they don't even really mean when they say it. But I, 15 years later, like, still remember it, of being like, well, I could never go on a beach date because that's what they're doing.
For me, it was them sussing out like what you looked like without makeup and like hair extensions. Because they want to like dunk you under the water to see what you look with your hair back. Like that's what I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, now I wouldn't care. Now I enjoy, because I love going to the beach and it's something that's like very joyous and fun for me. Yeah. But I can see how it's not like that for everyone.
I think I could do a beach date now, but not a first date. I think a first date I would still be like, are you testing me? This episode is brought to you by Bumble. We know making the first move on dating apps can be a little bit daunting.
Luckily, Bumble's opening moves feature makes it super easy to get the conversation going straight away.
Shanti, what's your opening move? I already know it's going to be a little bit flirty.
Well, mine is tell me something that you're passionate about. What about you?
Oh, mine is what's your favourite thing you've learnt from TikTok?
I love it. So on Bumble, you can either write your own opening move or choose from one of the many suggestions and then sit back and wait for your matches to come to you.
This is your sign to download the app and date on your terms. Find Bumble in the App Store or on Google Play.
Can I ask a personal question?
Yes, babe.
How does body image affect the way that you're dating now?
It doesn't. It doesn't really. To be honest, not me saying it doesn't and then saying that it does, but for the most part it doesn't. I do sometimes, if something doesn't go right, there's a split second moment where I think, oh, is it because of my body? Or is it because I'm not this very particular size? I have this split second moment of it, but then I remind myself, well, I actually don't have a choice because I'm not going to change what I'm doing. Yeah. It's just not possible. So I'm kind of like, that's just a fantasy. And it's also not helping me because, like I said, I realise regardless of my weight, I'm actually treated the same. So no, it doesn't really. Like, I feel like I'm a very confident person, and I guess the work that I did and how I feel about myself as a person and what I can bring to the table and my success and like writing a book, like doing all this stuff, I can really like rest easy knowing that I'm my best self and I'm way better than I was when I was unwell, because back then I was very judgmental of people. So I would go into dates, and if you didn't like meet this particular standard that I came up with, that I was holding myself to, then you just wouldn't get a look in. So I definitely found it harder to date. But now, because I'm a much more open person, I'm a lot more open to connections and meeting people.
Two things I want to ask you on that. One is...
When's the last time you had sex? Not kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get really personal. Who, where and when. No. Do you think that when you were working through your eating disorder and you're going on dates, that you're like, I'm torturing myself, like the least you could do is show up with the same beauty stat? Like, is there an element of like, I'm putting so much into this beauty standard that I think you're expecting of me? Like, does it affect your judgment of other people in a way?
No, I don't know. For some reason, I've got this such internalized feeling that the standards are different for men and women, that like when I look at men that I'd want to date, I'm just thinking about myself purely.
Yeah.
But it's funny because then I also don't hold other women to that particular standard when it comes to dating. It's a very strange, I just kind of like hold it against myself.
Yeah, because this is the other thing I was going to say is it sounds like this version of you has like a much better appreciation of everything that you bring to the table aside from, you know, your face and your body. And I think that is what hotness really is. But one thing before we wrap up that I want to ask you about that I think about like quite often is, what do you think is behind this kind of phenomenon that you just touched on, where it's like we are so critical. Like even now I'll like look at myself in a dress like this and be like, oh, it's too tight on my belly, or like it's too tight on my hips. But if I see another woman like wearing a dress like this and she has like curvy hips and like a belly, I don't think, oh my God, how disgusting. But like if I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, that's unacceptable. Like what do you think is like when you were sort of researching for the book, and like, because I know you did like so much work putting that all together, like did you come across anything that explains why we're like this?
I just think we're all obsessed with ourselves. I'm the first person to.
We're so
True.
We're so
True, you've nailed it.
obsessed, and it's a bit boring sometimes, isn't it?
Absolutely, the simplest answer is the right one.
Yeah, we're just obsessed with ourselves. And I think the antidote to that is trying to unlearn that. It's like goes against human nature. Yeah. I just like, I don't know, I don't really believe in altruism. I think everyone has an ulterior motive, and I find it easier to accept myself when I think that everyone else is thinking that, because it makes me feel like, oh yeah, no one actually really cares. And if someone does care, if someone is looking at me and thinking, oh, that's not really like flattering to her, I know that I've thought like that, and I know that the times when I've thought like that the heaviest is when I've kept myself to the most crazy standard and I've kept myself unhappy. It's like when people say holding a grudge is like
poison.
Yeah, the poison thing, and then like you're poisoning yourself, whatever. So
yeah, it's like I've had so many experiences with toxic people where you're like, the only thing worse than dealing with you would be being you, you know, because like the energy that you're giving out to me, bad, but it must be
terrible to live in that
worse
brain.
up there. Yeah. And I've also been that person where I'm like giving out that judgmental energy, and it has been terrible up here.
It's a very lack mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we have to think in abundance these days.
yes, that's what I think of. Abundance.
Abundance.
Well, where can people buy your book?
Oh, you can buy my book wherever. Amazon,
It's everywhere right now.
it's everywhere, girl.
everywhere.
The airport.
All I ever
purchase.
wanted.
I've seen it at the airport. I've seen people reading it at the beach.
You can get it at Audible or on your Kindle as well. All I want us to be hot, and I'll be taking December off with all due respect.
Yeah.
So don't expect another project for a while.
Ruthless press
Have
tour
a bit of a
right now.
rest. Ruthless schedule. We're so glad that you could fit us in.
Thank you so much. We love you.
Love you
We
too,
love you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so it is time for our DM of the week. I'm really curious to see what this one is.
Play it for us,
Let's
Shanti.
go.
How do I stop taking dating so seriously? Before I've even said 2 words to a guy, I start stressing if he likes me back, thinks I'm hot, thinking I'm girlfriend material. How do I just relax?
What makes him so special?
Yeah, I just feel like, darling, like it seems that you're putting someone that you don't even know on a pedestal. Why are you not putting yourself on a pedestal here? You are like, do you think you're hot? Do you think you're girlfriend material? Like, you obviously think you're stressed, but I think like this is really about you making sure you feel like your best self, and who cares what other people think.
I also think it sounds like from the jump, she's giving away all her power, you know, because she's making it all about, does he like me? Does he think I'm relationship material? Does he think this? Does he think that? And I have been in that sort of thought trap before, and it doesn't lead you anywhere good, because you aren't spending that time thinking, do I like him? Do I want to be in is he relationship material? Do I want to be in a relationship with him? Because when you spend the whole time being like, am I worthy? You aren't assessing whether they're worthy for you. You know, and it's a real trap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just hear the anxiety coming through there. And I think it's really about how society has pushed women especially to mold themselves into a certain role. Like I see a lot of people come into my clinic, a lot of young women, young femmes going, I ended up in a relationship. We went for, you know, a year or two. I took on so much work. I was doing the cooking, I was doing the cleaning, I was doing the laundry, and I got frustrated at the end because I didn't feel like I was getting the love that I wanted back. And I'm like, from the get-go there, you've gone into a very stereotypical role that you think is going to please someone, but isn't actually pleasing yourself here.
Yeah. I've also seen, both with myself and with some of my, you know, girlfriends, that a guy comes along and they start dating, and then they just invest everything in the relationship because this guy just kind of popped in.
Attention.
And then it's like 6 months, a year down the road, they're like, well, I'm not happy. He's got all these things wrong with him. And it's like the guy or girl or man or woman or, you know, they, them, is exactly the same person they were at the start.
You're the one
Usually
that
they haven't changed. It's that you actually didn't spend that time when you were dating assessing whether you liked them, whether you thought you were compatible. You were like, this person likes me. I need to impress them. I need to get the guy. I need to do all of this stuff. And then like the wheels fall off because you didn't actually spend much time thinking, is this person what I need? Is this person compatible with my life? Yeah. So in terms of how do you stop doing that, tricky, but try and like catch yourself being conscious of when next time you're on a date with someone, you know, spend the time listening to what they're saying. Is that something that resonates with me? Do I agree with what they're saying?
Do you have the same shared values, morals,
ask them about their
goals?
lifestyle. Are your lifestyles compatible? You know, and spend that time thinking, does this work for me?
Yeah.
Not focused on how do I answer their questions in a way that's going to impress them.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, babe, it's your world and they're living in it. They're coming into your world. So are you happy with that?
And I think this is also a classic case of the thing that we have spoken about a lot, which is a scarcity mindset. This person sounds like they have that scarcity mindset of if you come at dating from an abundance mindset of there are many people that want to be with me and that I could be compatible with, and I get to choose, then just trying to make that mindset shift, I think,
will be very helpful.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well, best of luck.
Yeah.
Let us know how you go.
Yeah. Well, that was a really wonderful episode. We had a really good yap then, didn't we?
We loved that. And if you enjoyed it as well, you can follow Froomes on Instagram at FROOOMES.
Froomes.
We love her. You can buy her book anywhere that you can buy good books. It's called All I Ever Wanted Was to Be Hot. And if you enjoyed hearing from us, you can give us a follow and send us a DM at Bumble_Australia.
And we will see you next week. We
Bye.
love you.
No, tap the bell first. leave us a review.
Oh, yeah. And then we'll
Give
see
us
you
5
next week.
stars, and then we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.